Revealed, how a billionaire's son faced an unexpected turning point after pushing a maid off the Ryan Connors stood at the edge of his sprawling estate, his resolve teetering like a fragile glass. The sound of his father's booming voice echoed in his ears, a constant reminder of the suffocating expectations that followed him like a shadow. "You will take this internship, and you will represent this family," his father had thundered just moments before. It wasn't the first time Ryan felt more like a pawn than a son, but today the weight felt heavier. In a moment of frustration, he lashed out at Elena, the family maid who had cared for him since he was a child. "Why do you always have to be in the way?" he shouted, pushing her away as she tried to offer him breakfast. The look of hurt in her eyes pierced his heart, but in that moment, anger blinded him. As the door slammed behind him, Ryan felt a strange emptiness wash over him. It was a trifling argument to anyone else, a spoiled rich kid taking his frustrations out on a simple maid. But for Ryan, the confrontation sent him spiraling into a pit of shame. Elena, with her quiet strength and unwavering dedication, had been a cornerstone of his life, yet he pushed her aside as if she were nothing. The moment replayed in his head like a film reel, her startled eyes haunting him. He could almost hear the echoes of empathy he had buried under the weight of privilege. "You'll thank me later," his father had insisted when he announced the internship that loomed on the horizon. Reluctantly, Ryan packed his bags, knowing full well that this was his father's way of pushing him away, grooming him for a life he didn't want. But as he arrived at the elite program, the stark contrast struck him. His fellow interns came from hard-fought battles, tales of struggle woven into their laughter. They spoke of sacrifices, dreams delayed, and futures uncertain. A knot tightened in his chest. How could he talk about success when he had never truly fought for anything? Each new interaction peeled away layers of his conception of the world, revealing truths he had long ignored. The memory of Elena and her sacrifices gnawed at him, forcing him to grapple with feelings of guilt. The once sweet taste of wealth soured in his mouth. Who was he to complain about the pressures of privilege when others fought just to put food on the table? Ryan felt a growing urgency, a hint of rebellion bubbling inside him against the very values he had uncritically adopted. As he sat with his new peers, their laughter somewhat distant yet relatable, he suddenly realized that the life he had lived was both a blessing and a curse. Conversations about justice, resilience, and the pursuit of dignity challenged everything he believed. Returning home to confront his father loomed like an insurmountable task. Not just for himself, but for Elena. He wanted to advocate for her, to recognize the dignity she deserved beyond the borders of domestic service. The thought terrified and exhilarated him all at once. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As Ryan prepared to face the man who defined his life, he felt the tension thick in the air. Would he risk everything to honor Elena? Would he choose the path of character over currency? The thoughts tumbled like leaves in the wind, creating a whirlwind of uncertainty. One final glance at his old life told him, this was far more than just a family feud. It was about dignity, respect, and reimagining a future he could be proud of. The stakes had never been higher, leaving an electric buzz of anticipation hanging between him and his destiny. Ryan returned home with a heavy heart and a determined mind. The drive across the estate felt like an eternity. Each tree that blurred past the window was a reminder of all the moments he had taken for granted, those everyday interactions with Elena that once meant everything to him. The soft laugh she shared during family dinners, her comforting presence during moments of doubt, all slipped away amid the glitz and pressure of his spoiled life. When he stepped inside the grand foyer, Ryan was met with that familiar luxurious silence. The enormous chandelier above created patterns on the floor that mimicked the tangled emotions swirling within him. He was no longer the carefree son of a billionaire, he was a man grappling with his identity, suddenly aware of the human cost involved in the privileges he had enjoyed for so long. "Elena!" he called, his voice breaking the stillness. A flutter of hope filled him as he waited for her to appear, but the silence returned, thick and heavy. He felt disappointment pierce through his resolve. Where could she be? A few minutes later, he found her in the laundry room, folding freshly cleaned linens. Her movements were rhythmic, almost meditative. The sight of her so diligent and at home in her work made a lump form in his throat. This was the woman he had belittled, the very person who had poured her heart into nurturing him. Swallowing hard, Ryan took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Elena," he started, his voice softening. She looked up, surprise flickering in her eyes. "I need to talk to you." At first, uncertainty etched across her face. She hesitated, unsure if she should engage with him after their earlier encounter. But then she set down the linens, her expression shifting to something more open, yet cautious. "What is it, Ryan?" she asked, folding her arms across herself as if bracing for impact. He ran a hand through his hair, gathering his thoughts. "I messed up badly. I didn't mean to hurt you earlier. I've been feeling so much lately, and I took it out on you. You're not just a maid to me. You never were." Elena's eyes softened, but a flicker of doubt remained there. "Words are easy, Ryan. It's actions that show the truth," she replied quietly. The weight of her words stung, and he felt his heart race at the challenge laid before him. "I want to do better. I want to help you. I want you to know that you deserve more than just this. The way I treated you, it was wrong." Sunlight streamed through the small window, wrapping around them as Ryan took a step closer. "You've always been there for me. You taught me kindness, resilience. And I want to fight for you. I want my father to understand that people like you deserve respect." A flicker of surprise crossed Elena's face, then something akin to hope. "What can you do? It's not easy to change minds that are set in stone." "I don't know," he admitted, his voice trembling. "But I'll try. I'll risk everything to make sure you're recognized. Not just as a maid but as a person of dignity. You deserve that. We all do." Elena was silent, processing his words. Ryan could see the internal battle waging within her, the doubt that a system so entrenched could ever shift. But he also saw a glimmer of something else, a possibility. As he stood in front of her, the enormity of what he was proposing began to dawn on him fully. What if he failed? What if his father refused to listen? The fear of rejection twisted in his stomach, yet a new sense of bravery began to rise. For the first time, Ryan felt a shift inside himself. He understood now that standing up for Elena meant dismantling everything he'd been taught about privilege and power. This was about more than just one in turn trying to prove himself, it was about voicing the unspoken struggles of people regarded as invisible. "Will you help me?" he asked, sincerity ringing in his words. "Together, we can make a difference." Elena studied him for what felt like forever, her gaze unwavering. Finally, she nodded slowly. "If you truly want to honor me, Ryan, it starts with understanding the struggles they face. And that means diving deep into uncomfortable truths." Ryan caught his breath, exhilaration and fear crashing over him like waves. Was he really ready to truly understand? With every step forward, the shadow of his past would try to pull him back, but it was time to embrace the future. This moment would be just the beginning. Hand in hand, they were about to venture into a world of challenges beyond their imagination. As he felt Elena's cautious acceptance, a fire ignited within him, one that compelled Ryan to rise and fight for those who couldn't, but this was only the first move in a game far larger than either of them envisioned. Would Ryan's newfound courage be enough to ignite real change, or would he find himself lost in the shadows of his father's empire once again? Ryan barely slept that night. His mind buzzed with the thoughts of the challenges ahead, the weight of his father's expectations pressing down on him like a heavy fog. As dawn broke, the first rays of sunlight spilled into his room, outlining the familiar contours of his comfortable life. But those old comforts felt foreign now. He rose and dressed mechanically, still caught in the echoes of his conversation with Elena. Her words replayed in his mind, dived deep into uncomfortable truths. What did that mean? How was he supposed to begin this daunting journey? Yet beneath the layers of doubt, a sense of clarity brewed. He could no longer be a passive observer to the struggles around him. After a hasty breakfast, he found himself in the expansive gardens, a place he once enjoyed for its beauty but now saw as a gateway to a painful realization. Each flower, each leaf basked in sunlight. But shining beneath that radiant sun was a darker layer of society, hidden just beneath the surface. Elena had agreed to help him. That thought alone sent a jolt of determination through him. He pulled out his phone and sent her a quick message, "Can we meet today? I want to talk about our next steps." As he awaited her response, he paced the cobbled pathway, feeling anxious yet energized. Minutes felt like hours until his phone buzzed. "I'll meet you after lunch. The park by the main gate." Relief washed over him, soon followed by a surge of excitement. They were embarking on something monumental together, but what would that look like? As lunch passed, he stirred his soup absent-mindedly, lost in thought about how to make his father and the rest of the upper crust see the people like Elena as real, deserving individuals, not merely workers serving at their whims. Would they listen? Or would he just be dismissed as the entitled son he had always been seen as? When he finally met Elena, the afternoon sun cast dappled shadows across the park. She sat on a bench, her posture poised yet relaxed. There was something grounding about her presence that instantly calmed his nerves. "Hey," he greeted softly as he plopped down beside her. "Thanks for meeting. I've been thinking, where do we start?" Elena regarded him thoughtfully, her brow furrowing slightly. "It has to start with genuine conversations. Not just between us, but reaching out to the others, those who've been silenced or ignored." Her eyes held a mix of determination and caution, as if she were weighing how much to share. "Right. I want to hear their stories," he murmured, eager to grasp the full scope of the unspoken struggles he had previously overlooked. "I want to show them they matter." "But how do we even listen first?" she interrupted gently. "Sit down with them, listen to their truths. Understanding comes from empathy. Only then can we build something real." Her words ignited a vision in Ryan's mind: gatherings, spaces for dialogue, maybe even an event where people could share their stories publicly. It felt risky, but he couldn't shake the excitement bubbling inside. "What if we organized a community gathering?" he proposed boldly. "A chance for everyone to speak, to connect. Like a town hall meeting but more personal. We can reach out to others who feel the same." Elena's eyes widened slightly, surprise mingling with encouragement. "That's an ambitious idea. It could work, but it won't be easy. We will need support. Then we will get it. I'll even talk to my father," he replied, determination rising in his chest. He could see it now: more than just a simple gathering, it could be a movement. But another thought struck him, chilling his optimism. What if his father shut it down? What if he laughed in Ryan's face? "Are you ready for that?" Elena asked, pulling him back into the present with a tangible note of caution in her voice. "To face his empire?" Ryan paused, his heart pounding. Truth washed over him: this was bigger than himself, it was about everyone. "I don't have a choice, do I?" he responded, a firm conviction settling in. "I need to stand up, not just for you, but for all those who've been ignored." And so they laid out preliminary plans, their voices mingling with the rustling leaves, sketching a path toward what felt like a revolution. Yet the shadow of Ryan's past loomed, a constant reminder of the hesitation that often wins out against noble intentions. With every moment of planning, he felt the world shifting beneath him. It was a step toward something new, something pivotal. Little did he know, the challenges ahead would question not just his conviction but his very identity. As they parted ways that afternoon, Ryan's heart surged with emotion, hope intertwined with uncertainty. But one thought burned brightly in him: did he truly have the strength to move mountains? That question echoed in his mind as he returned home, ready to risk it all. But outside the walls of his family's estate waited not just the challenge of his father's empire. Rumors were already swirling among the staff about the son who dared to dream differently. Ryan walked through the grand entrance of his family's estate, the polished marble floors gleaming in the afternoon light. The silence felt suffocating, almost mocking. Each step echoed with his uncertainty, a constant reminder that he was stepping into uncharted territory. As he moved toward the living room, he could already hear the low hum of conversation. His parents often held evening gatherings filled with their wealthy friends, discussing business, politics, and the latest art exhibits. He hesitated at the doorway, the sight of his father's broad back turned toward him enough to send a wave of anxiety through his body. "Ryan! Come join us!" His mother called out with a bright smile, her voice a contrast to the tension threading through him. Ryan forced a smile and crossed into the room. A humorous exchange among his father and his guests only heightened his awareness of the heavy stakes he was about to gamble with. He felt out of place here, like a ghost haunting a world he no longer recognized. "Everyone, this is my son, Ryan," his father boomed, as if presenting a trophy. The laughter and chatter ceased for a moment, heads turning to him. They offered polite smiles, but behind their eyes, he sensed the underlying question: what did he want? "Dad, can I talk to you for a second?" he said, the words tumbling out before he remembered to keep his voice steady. "Oh, come on. We were just discussing the next big investment," his father exclaimed, lounging against the arm of a luxurious chair. Ryan swallowed hard, the knot in his stomach growing tighter. "It's important." His father raised an eyebrow, the jovial air around him shifting to a more serious tone. "All right, then. Excuse us, folks." They walked aside, Ryan feeling the weight of their curious stares boring into his back. "What's going on? You look pale, son," his father said, folding his arms across his chest, the look of a businessman sizing up a deal. Ryan took a breath, summoning the courage to say what had been festering in his mind. "I want to organize a community gathering. A chance for people to share their experiences, workers, the ones you barely notice." His father's expression flickered, catching the spark of disbelief. "A gathering? For whom? You mean the staff?" He chuckled, but there was a sharpness to his amusement. "Ryan, come on. They wouldn't have anything valuable to say anyway." The word stung, igniting a firefight of emotions within Ryan. "That's not fair. They have lives, dreams, stories. If we don't give them a voice, who will? It's important." Each word poured out with the heat of his newfound purpose. "Listen, son," his father said, lowering his voice as if he were addressing a child. "This is a dangerous path. You don't understand the implications. You start advocating for these people, and it could spiral out of control. You could ruin your reputation or worse, ours." Ryan's heart raced, pumping hard against his ribs. The walls seemed to close in around him. Isn't that what this is all about? Doing something real? Something that matters? His father stepped back slightly, the widening of his stance communicating his displeasure. "In business, you don't get to be sentimental. You have a position to maintain, a name to uphold. Maybe that's the problem." Ryan shot back, frustration lacing his voice. "All I've ever been is Ryan, the son. When will I get to be myself?" His father narrowed his eyes, and for a moment, Ryan glimpsed the man behind the business facade, a flicker of uncertainty, tempered by years of expectation. "Think carefully, son. You're treading on ice here. I'm not in the business of charity." The tension hung thick in the air as silence enveloped them. The undercurrent of their family legacy pulsed wildly between father and son, pulling them into a battle neither had explicitly chosen. Ryan felt the burning need to stand firm, to grab the reins of his own life, but doubt seeped into his thoughts, tying him down. "I'll make this happen. Even if it's hard." His father's expression softened, and for a heartbeat, Ryan thought he might find understanding. But instead, he saw calculations, armor reforging. "Do what you want, but understand that it can come at a cost," he warned. With that warning hanging in the air, Ryan stepped away, his heart pounding like an alarm. He was torn between loyalty to his family and his newly ignited passion for change. The gathering came to mind, warm and bright, like a beacon through the fog. But as he stood there, guilt creeping in from all sides, he realized the price of freedom could indeed be steep. As Ryan retreated to his room, a single question haunted him: was he prepared to lose everything he had ever known for a chance at something better? Ryan sat on the edge of his bed, his heart still racing from the encounter with his father. The heavy air of expectation lingered in the room, and he felt trapped, ensnared by family obligations that seemed to suffocate his dreams. He ran a hand through his hair, grappling with the weight of his decision. He had envisioned a gathering that could spark change, a chance to bring people together, a platform for stories that would otherwise go unheard. But every time he thought of it, the memory of his father's cold laughter gnawed at his resolve. How could he combat the lifetime of conditioning that had been drilled into him? Ryan stood up abruptly, pacing the room. "What are you so afraid of?" he whispered to himself, a mantra as he grappled with his fears. "Afraid of what they'll think? Of what you'll lose?" The questions ripped through him like a storm. He took a deep breath, knowing he had a choice. He could give in to his father's fears and stay quiet, or find a way to challenge the status quo. Each path lay before him, stark and demanding. Deciding to clear his head, Ryan stepped out onto the balcony. The sprawling estate sprawled below him, manicured lawns reflecting the wealth and privilege that surrounded him. But instead of comfort, it felt stifling, a cage of expectations too pristine for his restless spirit. His eyes wandered to the horizon, where the sun dipped below the line of distant buildings, casting a warm glow that provided a stark contrast to the icy world he'd grown accustomed to. What would happen if he succeeded? What if he could really make a change? His heart quickened at the thought. It was an electrifying notion, one that drowned out the echoes of his father's warning for a moment. Just then, he caught a glimpse of Eve, one of the women who worked as the housekeeper. She was hurrying back to the kitchen, arms full of supplies. Something about her struck him. She was the embodiment of the stories he wanted to share. Ryan leaned against the railing, watching her move with purpose, grace, and a hint of exhaustion. In that moment, he saw her differently. Not just someone who filled a role in their home, but a person with dreams, desires, and untold stories. What would it be like to hear her perspective? To give her a voice? Ryan's pulse raced. Maybe connecting with Eve could be his first step. He had an idea brewing. What if he approached her about participating in his gathering? Would she be willing to share her thoughts or experiences? He swallowed hard, the thought both thrilling and terrifying. Part of him was still gripped by fear, the voice of his father echoing in the depths of his mind. But could he really ignore the call of purpose now that it had ignited within him? "All it takes is one step," he muttered, his resolve starting to solidify. He would find a way to bring people together, to let their experiences be known. But first, he needed to approach Eve to share his vision with her. As he prepared to head back inside, the door creaked open behind him, pulling his attention away from his thoughts. His mother peeked in, her smile warm and caring, though tinged with worry. "Ryan, are you okay?" A quick glance at his mother caught him off guard. The concern in her eyes reminded him that he was loved, even amidst this turmoil. He opened his mouth, searching for the words to express what he felt. But then a flash of fear struck him again. What if she didn't understand? Was he ready to involve her in his struggle? Would she see it the same way? The internal conflict blazed again. He needed to make a choice, one that could change everything. As their eyes met, a silent understanding formed between them, and for the first time, he felt a glimmer of hope. "Mom, I want to talk about something important," he finally said, finding strength in the moment. Would she listen? Would she support him? As he took a deep breath, ready to unleash the weight of his heart and mind, he realized the turning point was upon him. But little did he know, that turning point would lead to revelations that would force him to confront not just his family's legacy but his own soul. And just like that, everything began to change. What would he uncover in the pursuit of his truth? "Mom, I want to talk about something important." The words hung between them like a fragile thread, ready to snap under any tension. Ryan's heart raced as he searched his mother's face for a glimpse of understanding, a flicker of support. She stepped into the room, closing the door softly behind her to seal them off from the world, a small act that somehow felt monumental. "Okay, what's on your mind?" Her voice was steady, yet laced with an undercurrent of concern that intensified his anxiety. Taking a step closer, he felt the walls in his mind start to close in. "I've been thinking a lot about the gathering I want to organize. You know, the one that might give people like Eve a voice." His mother's eyes widened slightly. "A gathering? About what?" "The stories of people who work for us, who live in our world but never get heard. I think it's important to share their experiences." Silence filled the air as she processed his words. Ryan could see her grappling with the concept. "But Ryan, do you think people really want to share? What if it makes them uncomfortable?" He felt his chest tighten. "That's the point, Mom. They're uncomfortable because they're invisible. We act like they don't matter, like their voices aren't worth hearing." A flicker of hesitation crossed her face. "And what will this accomplish? Your father, he has certain standards, certain ideas about how we present ourselves. Aren't those exactly the standards that need to change?" The frustration slipped through, raw and unfiltered. "I can't live in his shadow any longer. While everyone around me is expected to smile and nod, I feel like I'm suffocating. I don't want to be a part of a system that ignores their stories. I want to use what I have to help elevate their voices." His mother's expression softened, and he could see a hint of pride mixed with anxiety. "I admire your passion," she whispered, her voice barely above a breath. "But, darling, you know what could happen if your father finds out. He may not respond the way you hope." Ryan swallowed hard, knowing that truth hit deeper than any comforting lie. "I know. But that's just it, I'm tired of catering to fear. I want to find connections that matter." She stepped closer, and for a moment, all he could feel was the warmth radiating between them. "Okay, let's say you move forward with this, but you need to be careful. The world isn't as kind as you'd like it to be. You have to be prepared for backlash." He nodded, her concern grounding him while the exhilaration of possibility sparked just beneath the surface. "I understand. But I believe in this. I have to at least try." His mother's eyes misted over, and he reached out, grasping her hands. "You'll support me, right?" "Of course," she replied, her voice shaking. "But you truly need to think this through. You might face consequences we can't even imagine." Just as he was ready to reassure her, affirm his commitment to push through the turbulence, footsteps echoed from the hall. The sound jolted them, and Ryan felt a rush of panic, expecting his father to walk in. His heart was in his throat, the moment feeling like a cliffhanger about to unfold, but instead, it was Eve who appeared, looking momentarily hesitant at the sight of them. The air turned electric, a mixture of potential and uncertainty swirling around them. "What is it?" Eve asked, glancing between them. Ryan felt the weight of the world shift onto his shoulders. Eve, can we talk? I was just about to ask you something important." Suddenly, everything felt so real, the stakes higher than they'd ever been before. Would Eve be willing to share her story? Could this moment mark the beginning of something transformative? As Ryan locked eyes with Eve, a mixture of fear and hope surged within him. Would she step forward, or would the fear of judgment keep her silent? Okay, she replied slowly, and in that instant, the atmosphere thickened with the promise of change. As they moved to a quieter corner, Ryan's mind raced with possibilities, a fire ignited in his gut. What would they uncover together? And just like that, he realized. This could either be an awakening or a confrontation, one that would push the boundaries of his life and kickstart the louder conversations he longed to hear. What would Ryan learn once they started this dialogue? Would he find the courage to embrace his truth, no matter the cost? Ryan led Eve to a small nook in the corner of the room, away from prying eyes and ears. The air was thick with unspoken words, and Ryan could feel the weight of their situation pressing on him. He leaned against the wall, trying to read Eve's expression. She seemed uncomfortable, her hands fiddling with the hem of her shirt. "Look, I know this is sudden," Ryan began, his voice softer now. "But I want to create a space for people like you, like me." Eve interrupted, her eyes narrowing slightly. "What do you mean?" "People who deserve to have their stories told," he said quickly. "People who work tirelessly, yet often feel invisible. I want to change that." Eve's gaze softened slightly, but doubt flickered in her eyes. "You don't understand, it's not that simple. We're not respected like you. Our stories? They're just that, stories. No one cares to listen." "It doesn't have to be like that," Ryan insisted, stepping forward. "I care. I want to give you a voice. You're important. Your life has meaning, and I want people to see that." She hesitated, glancing away, her brow furrowed in thought. "You think people will listen to us? They'll just see a maid? A worker? No, they'll see a human being," he interrupted, his passion rising. "This isn't just about you, Eve. It's about all of us. It's about breaking those barriers." "But what if they don't want to hear?" she asked, her voice trembling. The doubt in her words hit him hard. "They need to hear. I believe they need to see what's really happening. We live in a bubble, but outside, there's so much pain, so many stories, yours being one of them." Eve's face tightened, a flash of anger surfacing. "And what do you know about pain?" Ryan took a deep breath, his heart racing. "Maybe I've never lived it like you, but I've felt trapped. Trapped under expectations. I can't pretend everything is okay when it isn't." Eve crossed her arms, a defensive gesture that reflected her uncertainty. "People don't like looking past their own comforts. They shy away from discomfort." "They do," he agreed. "But isn't it time we challenge that? I'm ready to push boundaries. With you." He watched her carefully, hoping to find a spark of encouragement in her eyes. "What I'm asking is, will you help me?" "I don't know, Ryan." Her voice was tremulous, but he could sense a shift. "What if they come after us? What if your family? Then we'll face it together. I'm done hiding behind wealth and privilege. I want to fight for what's right. You deserve to be heard." Ryan stepped closer, his heart pounding, feeling the urgency of the moment swell. This could be the start of something big. Not just for you, but others like you. We could make a real difference. Eve's eyes glistened, and for the first time, Ryan saw the tiniest flicker of hope light up her expression. "You really believe in it?" "I believe in you. I know how strong you are, Eve. You're not invisible. You matter." Silence settled between them, the air charged with unfiltered emotions. A part of him wanted her to agree, to rise up and seize the moment with him, to breathe life into their shared dream. Yet, there was also caution lurking just beneath the surface, a whisper that warned of the ramifications ahead. Finally, Eve sighed, her defenses lowering. "Okay, let's talk about what this could look like. Just as he was about to brainstorm ideas, a loud crash echoed from the hallway, followed by the unmistakable voice of his father, booming with anger. The moment shattered, and panic washed over Ryan. "What now?" Eve whispered, startled. The door swung open, and there stood his father, rage radiating from him like heat from a fire. Ryan felt his stomach drop, the weight of the confrontation closing in. "Ryan! What are you doing here?" His father's gaze flicked to Eve, and in that instant, Ryan knew everything was about to change. Could he defend their vision in the face of his father's fury? Was he truly ready to fight against the system that had defined him for so long? As the confrontation loomed closer, one question lingered in Ryan's mind: would he stand his ground, or crumble under the pressure of expectation? Ryan's heart raced as he stared at his father, each breath heavy with tension. His father's presence filled the doorway, like a storm cloud gathering force, ready to unleash chaos. "What are you doing with her?" The older man spat, his voice cutting through the stillness like glass shattering. Eve stiffened beside him. Ryan could see her pulse quickening, could sense her retreating into herself. "I was just," he started, but his father cut him off. "You were just what? Going to dishonor this family even more?" His father stepped closer, fists clenched tightly at his sides. "You need to think about the consequences of your actions. This isn't just a game, Ryan." "No, it's not a game," Ryan shot back, fire igniting in his chest. "It's real. She's real. And people like her deserve to be seen and respected." His father's face twisted with disbelief. "Do you really think they care? They're nothing but workers. You're playing a dangerous game, and you don't even understand the rules." "Maybe," Ryan replied, voice steady. "Maybe I don't want to follow those rules anymore." Eve's breath caught in her throat as she took a small step back, caught between the heat of their argument. "Ryan, please," she murmured, her eyes pleading for him to back down, to keep the peace. "No." Ryan insisted, turning his gaze back to her. "I'm not backing down, Eve. Not now. This is too important." "Important?" His father laughed, low and mocking. "You think this is important? This is nothing but your naive idealism talking. You're risking our name for a fantasy. Isn't it time we break free from the chains of your legacy?" Ryan retorted. He could feel the fire of courage burning brightly in him, fueled by the truth that had been sparked in this very nook. "This isn't just about me. It's about giving others a chance to be something more than just a job title." His father's expression darkened. "You don't know what you're asking for. Remember what happened last time you tried to fight the system? You can't win against that kind of power." In that moment, Ryan felt his anger mingle with fear. He recalled the family secrets that had haunted him, their heavy shadows looming over every rebellious thought he'd ever had. This wasn't just about Eve or him, it was a war against the expectations he had worn like a straitjacket. "So what?" he challenged. "Just because you got burned once, does that mean I should live in fear forever? I refuse to be a puppet tied to your strings." The tension thickened, hanging in the air like thick fog. Eve's silence was deafening, her eyes shifted between Ryan and his father, unsure of where to anchor herself. "Ryan," his father said slowly, as if considering his words with deliberate care. "I'm warning you. If you continue down this path, you will lose everything." The weight of the ultimatum settled heavily on Ryan's shoulders. "Everything?" he echoed, swallowing hard. "What does that even mean? Do I lose my privilege? My title? Is that really everything you value?" In a split second, silence crashed over them, and yet Ryan could feel a seed of determination take root within him. He had reached a turning point, an unexpected juncture in the road that felt both terrifying and exhilarating. Eve interjected quietly, but he held up a hand, signaling for her to wait. "I'm willing to risk it," he said with newfound conviction. Because what I stand to gain is worth far more than what I could ever lose. His father's face changed, a flash of surprise underscoring a deeper irritation. You think this is just a fight for ideals? This is your livelihood you're throwing away. Think about your future. Sensing Eve's tension, Ryan took a breath, his resolve failing as he turned to her, searching her eyes for support. What do you think? Should we give in to his pressure? Live in silence? Eve met his gaze, something stirring in her own as she grappled with how deep they had sunk into this moment. Did she want to be just another face hidden in the shadows, or could she step into the light? With bated breath, they both waited for her answer, teetering on the brink of change. Would she stand with him, dive into the unknown, and chase the dream they'd just begun to shape? In that charged moment, uncertainty danced between them, hanging in the air like a fragile thread stretched too tight, ready to snap. Ryan braced himself for the ripple effects of Eve's decision. How far would they go? What was on the line, and most importantly, what would his father do next? Ryan stood in the thick silence, heart pounding as he waited for Eve. The air felt charged, like electricity before a storm. He could easily sense her hesitation but couldn't shake the resolve that had gripped him. Please, Eve, he whispered, desperation creeping into his voice. This isn't just about us. It's bigger than that. Eve's gaze faltered, shifting back to his father, whose eyes glared like daggers. She felt the weight of the room, the pressures of their world clashing against the freedom Ryan craved. You don't understand, Ryan. Her voice trembled with concern. What he says he's not just trying to scare you. There are consequences. People live in fear every day, he replied urgently. Those consequences don't stop us. They shouldn't control us either. The words spilled out, raw and passionate, igniting a spark that he hoped would light a fire within her, urging her to step closer to his side. But it's your family. Your future. Eve countered, clearly torn between fear and admiration. And what about your future? Ryan shot back, his hands shaking as he gestured toward his father. Is it worth being silent? Worth being a nobody in someone else's story? His father took a step forward, rage simmering in his eyes. This is not your story to write. You have everything: money, power, opportunity. Don't throw it away over some misguided rebellion. Opportunity? Ryan echoed with a bitter laugh. Is it really opportunity if it comes with the cost of my humanity? If it demands I turn my back on someone like Eve? Eve's breath hitched, her heart racing at the adrenaline swirling in the room. She longed to believe in the dream Ryan painted, to feel that determination radiate through her. But uncertainty gripped her. Ryan, if you push this, she started, but he cut her off. I want to back down. I refuse to live in a world where we pretend to be what we're not. I need you to believe in that with me, he said, desperation clawing at him, his father's face twisted with anger, transforming into something almost unrecognizable. You're nothing but a child playing dress-up, and if you keep this up, you'll find yourself out on the street. I will disown you. Ryan blinked, the threat hanging between them like a guillotine ready to fall. The gravity of it hit him hard. Could he truly bear that loss? A part of him felt hollow at the thought, yet another part, fierce and unyielding, urged him to push through. I'd rather be out on the street with Eve, he shouted back, his heart pounding. Then live like some kind of puppet dangled from strings of deceit. The room fell silent again, each moment stretching painfully. The weight of his father's ultimatum still loomed like an executioner's blade. Eve's eyes glistened, unsure if she was watching a man defy his father or a boy rushing toward disaster. Ryan, please think about this. I don't want you to lose everything. But he was lost in a pool of fierce emotion, newfound strength propelling him forward. If I can't fight for the people I care about, what's the point of having everything? If I lose you, it won't matter. Suddenly, as if time stood still, Eve reached out, gripping his arm. The connection ignited something inside him, a spark of hope and courage intertwined with fear. "What if we do this together?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "What if we stand up for what's right, no matter the cost? We may face the storm, but not alone." Ryan felt the warmth of her words wash over him. The thought of facing whatever came his way with Eve by his side felt more thrilling than any privilege he had known. "Together," he repeated, feeling the resolve solidifying. Across the room, his father seethed, eyes blazing with disbelief. "You're both fools," he spat. "If you choose this path, you won't just lose everything, you'll lose each other. What else is there to lose?" Ryan met his father's gaze, a flicker of defiance igniting in him. "We're ready to fight. To stand as equals. Not as master and servant." Before the charged moment could turn into a confrontation, a loud knock echoed through the hallway, shattering the tension. Everyone turned toward the doorway, hearts racing in anticipation of whoever or whatever lay on the other side. "Who could that be?" Eve whispered, eyes wide with worry. Ryan didn't have an answer. The uncertainty swirled again as the door creaked open, tension snapping like a rubber band. But he knew whatever it was meant to be, they were prepared to face it together. What awaited them? Would it draw them closer or drive a wedge between newfound allies? The door swung open, revealing a familiar figure, Elena. Her face was a mixture of concern and determination. "I heard shouting," she said, her eyes darting between Ryan and his father. "What is going on?" "Nothing that concerns you," his father snapped, irritation bubbling beneath the surface. But Ryan could see Elena was not about to back down. "Sir, if this involves Ryan and what's right, it concerns me," she replied, refusing to shy away. There was strength in her voice, a confidence that Ryan had never really noticed before, one that inspired even amidst the mounting tension. Ryan felt an electric energy shift in the room, bringing him a sense of clarity. "You're right, Elena," he said, stepping forward. "We're discussing the community gathering where we want to give a voice to those who are so often ignored." His father scoffed, but Ryan pressed on. "It's not just about workers, Dad. It's about humanity, people deserving of respect and dignity. Just like us." Elena nodded, her expression encouraging. "People need to be seen for who they are, not just their roles. Do you see what you're doing?" His father's voice was laced with disbelief. "You think you can just waltz in and change everything? You're being reckless." "Maybe that's necessary," Ryan shot back. "Maybe it's time recklessness wins over complacency." Elena placed a hand on Ryan's shoulder, grounding him. "Staying silent only supports a broken system. We need to talk about the stories we hide away." The fight in Ryan buoyed with Elena's words. He turned to Eve, whose eyes mirrored the uncertainty and fear he was feeling. "Eve, you don't have to just listen to this, it could be the start of something incredible." Eve hesitated, yet, Ryan saw a flicker of hope in her expression. "But fighting against him? It feels too big." "Only if we let fear anchor us," Ryan replied softly. "Look, if we take this step together, we can challenge this world and create change. If we don't try, nothing will ever change. We can't hide anymore." His father's eyes hardened, preparing to respond with fierce rebuttal. "Enough. You are both being naive. You'll see the consequences of your actions." Ryan felt a wave of mounting resolve. "No, you'll see changes too. I am not afraid anymore." The moment hung heavy, time lingering with anticipation. Elena stepped a little closer, anchoring Ryan's strength. "You, too, deserve more than just the fear of what's lost." Before the confrontation could escalate, another knock echoed through the doorway, this time louder, insistent. With an irritated huff, his father strode towards it. The tension in the room coalesced into a feeling of suspense. As Ryan and the others watched, he flung the door open, revealing a group of staff members, a few familiar faces, along with others he didn't recognize. "Sir, I've gathered everyone for a reason," one of the staff spoke with determination. "We need to address not just our roles but our voices. They matter, and we want to be heard." The air filled with energy as the realization settled. They weren't just supporting Ryan, they were echoing his sentiments, standing shoulder to shoulder against the imperfections of their world. His father's expression shifted from anger to shock. He stood there speechless as the tide turned. "Together, we can arrange a meeting," the leader continued, unwavering. "For our stories to be told." Ryan felt the fire ignite in his heart, igniting a courage deeper than he knew was possible. The crowd began murmuring in agreement, voices mingling in a swell of unity. "We deserve respect. Let our words be heard. We are more than our titles." Ryan stood at the center of it all, surrounded by familiar faces, yet unsure of what was next. But hope blossomed in unexpected ways, revealing a path forward he hadn't completely imagined. "I'll join you," he shouted, feeling the power build within him. "We'll face this together." Elena stepped forward, echoing him. "Together, we stand for change." And as the voices rose, a warmth engulfed Ryan, a feeling he thought he'd never taste. Purpose. His father's face blanched with betrayal, but Ryan felt a rush of assurance. What he had feared most, the loss of everything, might just be the key to gaining something greater. Finally, the air shifted. A moment of realization dawned. This challenge was now not just about him, but a movement ignited by voices that had long been silenced. He thought of Elena, of Eve, the community waiting for a change. He thought of the countless stories yearning to be voiced. This was only the beginning of something much larger than any of them had anticipated, a chance to redefine what power and privilege meant in their world. They wouldn't just shake the foundation, they would reshape it. As Ryan stood resolutely amongst the newfound allies, he realized he had found his purpose beyond wealth, the dignity of every soul. Together, they were ready to roar out into the world, echoing the cries of those once unheard, and at that moment, no fear could dim the light within him. Now is the moment for you to take action. Don't let this inspiring transformation stop here. You need to subscribe now to the channel to stay updated with the latest exclusive stories. Leave a like now to support this crucial message and fuel the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about Ryan's powerful journey to change, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this meaningful transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Show your support and passion.